Captain Min Park stood in the massive council chamber and felt small. The room was built for giants. Creatures from 100 different worlds sat in curved rows that rose high above him. Some had wings, others had too many eyes. A few glowed with strange light, but all of them looked down at the humans with the same expression: contempt. Ambassador Wan Li stood beside Min. Her face showed nothing, but he could see her hands gripping the edge of the speaking platform. They had been negotiating for 6 months. 6 long months of insults disguised as diplomatic language. 6 months of being told that humanity was young, stupid, and dangerous. The High Chancellor moved forward. Aura was in being, covered in shimmering purple armor. Its voice came out in clicks and hums that the translator turned into words. "The Galactic Council has reached its final decision," Aura announced. "The terms are generous, given your species' aggressive nature." One activated the holographic display. Numbers and maps filled the air. Her voice was calm, professional. "These terms require humanity to surrender 40% of our colony worlds. We have families on those worlds, children, communities that have existed for generations." "They will be relocated," another council member said. This one looked like a floating crystal. "The council will provide adequate transportation." "Adequate," Min muttered. One shot him a warning look. Aura continued as if no one had spoken. "Furthermore, humanity will reduce its military forces to 15% of current strength. Your warships will be decommissioned. Your weapons research will cease." "That leaves us defenseless," one said. Her calm was cracking. "The collective attacked our border colonies just 8 months ago, without our fleet." "The Council will provide defense," Aura interrupted. "You should be grateful. Young species like yours often destroy themselves with their own weapons. We are saving you from yourselves." Min stepped forward. "With respect, Chancellor, humanity has managed not to destroy itself for over 10,000 years of recorded history." "Barely," a reptilian council member hissed. "Your world wars, your nuclear weapons. You are children playing with fire." "Children who built faster-than-light drives in less than a century," Min said. His voice was harder now. "Children who colonized 30 star systems in 50 years. We may be young, but we're not stupid." The chamber filled with alien sounds. Laughter, maybe, or disgust. It was hard to tell. Aura raised one clawed hand. Silence fell. "The final term. Humanity will submit to council oversight. All major decisions regarding your government, economy, and expansion must be approved by this body." One's face went pale. "That's not a treaty, that's surrender. You're asking us to give up our sovereignty." "We are civilizing you," Aura said simply. "Hundreds of species have gone through this process. In time, you will thank us." "And if we refuse?" Min asked. The chamber went very quiet. Aura's alien face was impossible to read, but its voice carried clear threat. "Then you will face the consequences. Economic sanctions, trade embargoes, and if necessary, military action to protect the peace of this galaxy." Min looked at one. She looked back at him. In that moment, they both understood. The council wasn't interested in negotiation. They had already decided. Humanity would kneel, or humanity would be forced to kneel. "You have 48 hours to accept these terms," Aura said. "Return to your government. Make them understand reality. The age of human independence is over." Admiral Wu appeared as a hologram beside the human delegation. He commanded Earth's defense fleet from orbit above the council station. His weathered face showed barely controlled anger. "Ambassador Li, I recommend we end these talks." "You do not speak here, military commander," Aura snapped. "You are not part of the diplomatic process." "No," Wu said coldly. "I'm the person who will have to fight your war when this goes wrong, and it will go wrong." "Is that a threat?" the crystal being demanded. "It's a prediction," Wu replied. "You're backing humanity into a corner. We don't do well in corners." Aura's laugh sounded like breaking glass. Your largest fleet has 300 ships. The Council commands over 50,000 vessels. Your technology is centuries behind ours. Your warning is noted and dismissed. One touched Min's arm. She nodded toward the exit. They had heard enough. We need to consult with our government, one said formally. We will return with our answer before the deadline. See that you do, Aura said, and see that your answer is wise. We would hate for this to end in conflict. Human casualties would be significant. Min and one walked toward the massive doors. Behind them, the council members began talking among themselves. The translator picked up fragments. They'll accept they have no choice. Humans are aggressive, but not suicidal. Finally, we can bring order to that sector. Min stopped at the doorway. He turned back. Every eye in the chamber focused on him. You should know something about humans, he said quietly. We have a saying, give me liberty or give me death. It's old, from before we had, from when we were killing each other over pieces of land. Your point, Aura asked. We'd rather die free than live as slaves, Min said. Every human knows that saying. Every human understands it. You're not offering us peace. You're offering us chains. Dramatic words, Aura said dismissively. But words change nothing. Reality remains. You cannot fight us. You cannot win. Min smiled. It wasn't a friendly smile. You know what else humans say? Never tell me the odds. We don't think like you do, Chancellor. We don't calculate safety versus risk and choose safety every time. Sometimes we choose the risk. Then you choose extinction, Aura said flatly. Maybe, Min agreed. Or maybe you've never actually fought someone with nothing to lose. The doors closed behind them. In the corridor outside, one let out a long breath. That could have gone better. Could it have? Min asked. They made their decision before we arrived. This whole thing was theater. They wanted to see us beg. Wu's hologram flickered beside them. What are you going to recommend to the president? One was quiet for a long moment. Finally, she said, I'm going to tell President now that the council has given us an ultimatum. Surrender everything that makes us human or go to war. And what will the president say? Wu asked. I think you know, one said softly. We didn't claw our way up from caves and across the stars just to kneel at the end. Min looked back at the closed doors. Beyond them, the council was probably already celebrating their victory. They thought humanity would fold. They thought fear would win. They were wrong. 48 hours, Min said. That's how long we have. Then we'd better not waste them, Wu replied. His hologram vanished. One and Min walked to their shuttle in silence. Around them, the council station bustled with alien life. Traders, diplomats, tourists. None of them knew that everything was about to change. In 48 hours, humanity would give its answer. And the galaxy would learn what humans really meant when they said no. The message went out across all human colonies at the same moment. Every station, every ship, every outpost received it. The words were simple and clear. All human citizens in council space, return home immediately. You have 72 hours. On the council, the markets crashed. Human traders had their hands in everything. Banking, shipping, manufacturing. Entire industries depended on human workers who would do jobs other species found too dangerous or too boring. Now they were all leaving. Ambassador One watched from the departing transport ship. Below, the council station grew smaller. She had spent 6 months there, 6 months trying to find peace. Now she was going home to prepare for war. They think we're running scared, Captain Min said beside her. Good, One replied. Let them think that. Back on Earth, Admiral Wu stood in the war room deep beneath the planetary defense headquarters. Screens covered every wall, showing the positions of every human ship, every colony, every military asset. Begin protocol silence, he ordered. Around the room, officers moved quickly. One by one, the lights on the screens went dark. Communication stopped. Tracking signals ended. To anyone watching from outside, it looked like humanity's entire military infrastructure had shut down. Colonel Dongmin Yang studied the darkened displays and smiled. The council is going to think we surrendered. That's the idea, Wu said. Let them come looking, let them think they've won. In her laboratory, Dr. Sunmi received the encrypted message she'd been waiting for. 3 words: release the projects. She stood and walked through corridors that hadn't been used in years. The council had demanded humanity stop certain research programs. Too dangerous, they said. Too aggressive. Humanity had agreed. But humans don't really stop. They just hide things better. Sunmi entered a vault that officially didn't exist. Inside were the projects the council feared. Artificial intelligence warfare systems that could think faster than any biological brain. Quantum weapons that could disrupt enemy shields from the inside. Nanotechnology that could turn an enemy's own ship against them. Wake them up, she told her research team. We have work to do. Across human space, the colonies went quiet. Ships that had been patrolling went dark. Defense platforms powered down. Even the automated systems seemed to shut off. The council sent scout ships to investigate. They found ghost towns, orbital stations with nobody home, colony domes with lights off and streets empty. Where did they go? Aura demanded, studying the reports. Perhaps they evacuated, a council member suggested. Perhaps they're fleeing to the outer rim. Or perhaps they surrendered completely, another said. Humans may be aggressive, but they're not fools. They know they can't win. Aura wasn't so sure. Something felt wrong. Humans didn't run. Every report, every historical record showed that humans fought, sometimes stupidly, sometimes against impossible odds, but they fought. Send more scouts, Aura ordered. I want to know where every human ship has gone. The scouts searched. They found nothing. It was as if humanity had simply vanished. On the human colony world of New Seoul, Colonel Dongmin watched the council scouts pass overhead. His soldiers were hidden in the forests, in the mountains, in tunnels that the council's sensors couldn't detect. The colony looked abandoned. It wasn't. They're taking the bait, one of his officers whispered. Of course they are, Dongmin replied. They think technology wins wars. They've never fought an enemy that thinks different from them. In orbit, hidden in the shadow of the moon, Captain Jin Han commanded the stealth carrier Indomitable. Her ship was completely dark. No power signatures, no heat, no electromagnetic emissions. To every scanner the council had, her ship didn't exist. But she could see them. Human sensors were different, passive instead of active, quiet instead of loud. The council ships blazed like bonfires in the dark. Count them, Jin ordered quietly. 12 capital ships, her sensor officer reported. 43 cruisers, over 100 smaller vessels. They're spreading out to search the system. Good, Jin said. The more they spread out, the easier they'll be to kill. Back on Earth, President Nasong addressed the emergency session of the human government. Every colony sent representatives. Every military commander attended via secure hologram. The council has given us their ultimatum, Na said. Surrender or die, but there is a third option they haven't considered. What's that? Someone asked. Make them wish they'd never threatened us in the first place, Na replied. The vote was unanimous. Humanity would not surrender. Humanity would not run. Humanity would fight, and fight in ways the council had never imagined. Commander Ho Shin sat in the intelligence center, surrounded by decades of intercepted council communications. The council thought their encryption was unbreakable. They were wrong. Humans had been reading their mail for 20 years. They're predictable, Ho explained to Admiral Wu. They follow the same battle plans their ancestors used 1,000 years ago, same formations, same tactics, same timing. Because it always worked before, Wu said. Exactly. They've never fought anyone who adapted, who changed, who did things that didn't make logical sense. And we're about to teach them that lesson. The Council fleet gathered at the edge of human space. Thousands of ships, ready to occupy humanity's colonies and force them to accept the treaty. Aura commanded from the flagship, confident in victory. The humans have 48 hours left, Aura announced to the fleet. When that time expires, we move in. We will occupy their worlds peacefully if possible, by force if necessary. The Council soldiers prepared for easy duty. Humanity couldn't fight back. Their military was gone. Their colonies were empty. This would be simple occupation, followed by the slow process of civilizing a primitive species. They had no idea what was waiting for them. Dr. Sunmi completed the final tests on her quantum disruptors. The devices were small, no bigger than a human fist, but each one could make a Council ship's shields completely useless. The Council had spent centuries perfecting their shield technology. They thought it was invincible. They never considered that someone might attack the quantum field that held the shield together, instead of attacking the shield itself. "How many can we deploy?" Wu asked her. "Thousands," Sunmi replied. "Each fighter can carry dozens. Each capital ship can carry hundreds, and the Council won't even know they're there until it's too late." Lieutenant Bora ran her fighter squadron through training exercises in a hidden asteroid field. Her ships were tiny compared to Council fighters, more agile but less armored, weaker weapons but faster engines. "They'll think we're easy targets," Bora told her pilots. "That's good. Let them think that right up until we're inside their formation, then show them what small and fast really means." The 48 hours ticked down. Across the galaxy, species watched and waited. Some hoped humanity would surrender. Others hoped for war, seeing opportunity in the chaos. Most just wanted to see what would happen when an ancient galactic power met a young species that refused to kneel. Back on the Council station, Aura received reports of the human exodus. Every human citizen had left Council space. The markets were in chaos. Trade routes were disrupted. Species that depended on human services were panicking. "This is more damaging than we anticipated," a Council member said nervously. "Temporary," Aura insisted. "Once we bring them to heal, everything will return to normal, better than normal. We'll have full control. And if they don't surrender, then we demonstrate the price of defiance," Aura said coldly. "One way or another, humanity will learn its place." The deadline arrived. The Council waited for humanity's response. It came in the form of a single transmission, broadcast across all frequencies. Admiral Wu's face appeared on every Council screen. His expression was calm, almost peaceful. "You gave us an ultimatum," he said simply. "Surrender or face destruction. Here is our answer: no, we will not surrender our worlds. We will not disarm our fleets. We will not accept your oversight. We are not your subjects. We are not your children. We are humanity and we bow to no one." The transmission ended. Silence fell across the Council chamber. Then Aura spoke. "So be it, send the fleets, occupy human space, show them the cost of pride." The Council forces moved forward, confident and strong. They expected an easy victory against a species that had apparently given up. They were about to learn the difference between silence and surrender. And the lesson would be written in burning ships across a dozen star systems. The Council fleet entered the Terran border zone like conquerors returning home. Thousands of ships moved in perfect formation, their shields glowing with power. They had done this 100 times before with 100 different species. It always ended the same way. Fleet Commander studied the sensor displays from his flagship. No resistance detected. No human ships in range. The colonies appear abandoned. "Just as intelligence reported," his second officer said. "They ran." "Then we take what they left behind," declared. "All ships begin occupation procedures. secure the orbital platforms, land troops on the colony worlds, establish council authority. The fleet spread out. Each battle group moved toward a different human colony. They expected empty buildings and scared civilians hiding in their homes. What they found was something else entirely. Captain Jinhan watched from the bridge of the Indomitable, still hidden in the darkness. The Council ships had spread out perfectly, just as Commander Ho predicted they would. Each group was now isolated, separated by millions of kilometers of empty space. "All stealth ships report ready," her tactical officer said quietly. "Carriers in position. Fighters are loaded and waiting." Jin took a deep breath. For 6 months humanity had negotiated. For 6 months they had tried peace. The Council had refused. They wanted war. Now they would get it. "Send the signal," she ordered. "Spring the trap." Across 12 star systems, human ships simultaneously. They appeared like ghosts becoming solid, their stealth fields dropping to reveal weapons that were already locked on target. The Council fleet barely had time to react. Jin's carrier group struck first. The Indomitable appeared directly behind a Council capital ship, so close the enemy's sensors didn't register the threat until weapons fire lit up the darkness. "All fighters launch," Jin commanded. The carrier's belly opened. Hundreds of small fighters poured out like angry insects. They were tiny things half the size of Council fighters. The Council had laughed at them during the war games years ago. Too small, too weak, not worth building. The Council wasn't laughing now. Lieutenant Bora led the first wave. Her fighters screamed through space at speeds that would kill most alien pilots. Humans could handle more G-forces than almost any other species. What felt like crushing weight to the Council felt normal to her. "Break formation," she called to her squadron. "Random patterns. Don't let their targeting computers predict your movement." The Council fighters moved to intercept. They flew in neat formations, textbook perfect. Their targeting systems locked onto the human ships, calculating trajectories and firing solutions. But the humans didn't follow any trajectory. Bora threw her fighter into a spin that physics, or at least what the Council thought was possible. Her wingman dove straight down relative to the galactic plane, then curved back up. Another pilot killed her engines completely, drifted for 3 seconds, then fired at full power in a new direction. The Council targeting systems couldn't handle it. Their shots went wide, hitting empty space where human fighters should have been but weren't. Human shots didn't miss. Bora's squadron had been training for this their entire lives. They didn't rely on computers to aim. They used instinct, experience, and reflexes honed through thousands of hours in simulators and real space. 3 Council fighters down, someone reported. 7 down. 10 down. The Council squadron broke apart, their perfect formation collapsing into chaos. They had never fought anyone who moved like this, who thought like this, who treated space combat like a knife fight instead of a chess match. On the Council flagship, watched his tactical display with growing horror. Red icons appeared everywhere. Human ships that weren't supposed to exist, attacking from angles that shouldn't be possible. "Deploy our main fleet," he ordered. "Crush them with numbers." But the human ships weren't staying still long enough to be crushed. They struck, faded back into stealth, struck again from a different direction. It was like fighting shadows. Dr. Sunmi's quantum disruptors entered the battle. Small pods launched from human destroyers, too small for Council sensors to track as threats. They drifted into the middle of Council formations, ignored by point defense systems that didn't recognize them as weapons. Then they activated. The quantum field holding a Council battleship's shields suddenly destabilized. The shield didn't just fail. It imploded, creating a feedback pulse that overloaded the ship's power systems. "Shields down," a Council officer screamed. "All shields on the flagship are down." Howe demanded, "That's impossible." Nothing was impossible to humans. They just hadn't learned that yet. Human destroyers, they're loaded and ready, opened fire on the now defenseless flagship. Solid projectiles moving at a fraction of light speed punched through armor that was designed to withstand energy weapons. The Council had shields against lasers, against plasma, against particle beams. They didn't have shields against a chunk of dense metal moving fast enough to create its own plasma on impact. The flagship shuddered, alarms screamed, fires broke out in 3 sections. "Retreat," ordered, "pull back to defensive positions." But there were no defensive positions. The humans had studied Council tactics for decades. They knew every standard fallback point, every rally position, every emergency protocol. Human ships were already there, waiting. Colonel Dongmin Yang watched from the surface of New Seoul. The colony hadn't been abandoned. Thousands of soldiers hid in tunnels and bunkers that Council sensors couldn't detect. They had been waiting for the landing craft to arrive. Council troop transports descended through the atmosphere, confident in their superiority. They landed in the main plaza of the colony's capital. Ramps lowered. Soldiers marched out. They found empty streets and silence. "Secure the area," the Council ground commander ordered. "Find the humans." The humans found them first. Dongmin's soldiers had spent months preparing the battlefield. Every building, every street, every sewer tunnel. They knew this ground better than they knew their own faces. The Council soldiers, trained in standard urban warfare, moved through the streets in formation. They were good soldiers, well-equipped, well-trained. They were also predictable. The first Council squad reached the central square. A building exploded, not the one they were standing near. The one behind them, cutting off their retreat. Another explosion sealed off the street ahead. Then the shooting started. Human soldiers appeared in windows, on rooftops, in doorways. They fired and moved, never staying in one place. The Council soldiers returned fire at empty positions while humans attacked from new angles. "They're everywhere," a Council soldier shouted. "Impossible," the commander said. "Sensors show only minimal human presence." The sensors were wrong. Humans had learned to fool Council technology decades ago. Heat-masking suits, electromagnetic dampening, simple tricks that worked because the Council relied too much on their machines and not enough on their instincts. The battle raged through the streets. Council soldiers called for air support, but their aircraft faced the same problem. Human anti-air teams moved constantly, fired portable missiles, then disappeared before return fire could arrive. It was guerrilla warfare on a scale the Council had never experienced. In space, the battle turned into a rout. Commander Ho Shin's intelligence network paid off. Every time the Council tried a new formation, the humans already knew what to expect. Every time Council ships tried to coordinate, human jammers scrambled their communications. Every time they tried to retreat, human ships cut them off. Captain Jin's carrier group had destroyed or disabled 15 Council ships without losing a single fighter. Bora's squadron alone had taken down 20 enemy fighters. The Council's superior numbers meant nothing when they couldn't coordinate and couldn't predict what the humans would do next. "Enemy fleet is breaking apart," Jin's tactical officer reported. "They're fleeing in all directions." "Let them go," Jin ordered. "But follow them. I want to know where they run. I want to know where they hide." The Council retreat became a disaster. Ships scattered across multiple systems, abandoning their wounded, leaving their ground forces stranded. The occupation force that was supposed to conquer humanity had been shattered in less than 6 hours. On the Council, Aura received the reports in disbelief. 60% casualties in 6 hours. Against a species we outnumber 50 to 1. "The reports are confirmed," an aide said nervously. "The humans, they don't fight like anyone we've ever faced. Our weapons are superior. Our shields are stronger. Our ships are bigger. But none of it matters. They're faster, more unpredictable, and they use tactics that our computers can't model. They're just tactics, Aura insisted. We'll adapt, we'll study their methods and counter them. High Chancellor, the aide said quietly. They've been studying our methods for decades. Every battle plan we have they already know. Every formation, every standard response, every protocol. They know it all. Aura felt something unfamiliar, fear. How many ships do we have left in human space? The Chancellor asked. Less than 40% of the invasion force, and most of those are damaged or cut off from support. Recall them, all of them, pull back to Council space. The orders went out. The Council forces fled human territory, leaving behind burning wrecks and the arrogance that had sent them there. They had learned something the Council hadn't understood in 1,000 years of dominance. Being right didn't matter if you were fighting someone who didn't care about being wrong. Technology didn't matter against opponents who adapted faster than you could plan. Numbers didn't matter when every enemy soldier was worth 10 of yours. Humanity had tried to tell them. The Council hadn't listened. Now they understood, but the lesson wasn't over. It had only just begun. Admiral Wu stood on the bridge of the EDS Defiant and watched the Council forces run. 3 weeks ago, they had entered human space as conquerors. Now they fled like prey animals, abandoning equipment, leaving their wounded, thinking only of escape. "Should we pursue, Admiral?" his tactical officer asked. Wu was quiet for a moment. Then he said, "Yes, but not to destroy them, follow them home. I want to know where they feel safe, because nowhere is safe anymore." The human fleet moved forward, not just defending their borders now, advancing into Council space with purpose and precision. Dr. Sunmi had unleashed weapons the Council thought were impossible. Her swarms spread through Council communication networks like a virus, turning their own systems against them. Every time the Council tried to coordinate their forces, they scrambled the signals. Orders became gibberish. Targeting data became random numbers. Friend or foe identification failed, causing Council ships to fire on each other. "They're cutting their own communication cables," Sunmi reported to Wu, "going back to physical messengers, like it's the ancient times." "Good," Wu said. "The more primitive their communications, the slower they respond. Speed is our advantage. Let's keep it that way." On Earth, President Nasong prepared to address the galaxy. Every species would hear this. Every government, every civilian. The entire galaxy would know what happened when you threatened humanity. She stood before the cameras, dressed not in diplomatic robes but in simple military uniform. Behind her, the Earth rotated in the darkness of space. "People of the galaxy," Na began. 3 weeks ago, the Galactic Council gave humanity an ultimatum: surrender our freedom or face destruction. They believed their technology made them invincible. They believed their numbers made them unstoppable. They believed humanity would kneel rather than fight. She paused, letting the weight of her words settle. "They were wrong about everything. We showed them our capacity for war. We tried to show you our capacity for peace. You refused to see it. You saw only a young species, aggressive, dangerous, needing to be controlled." Images appeared beside her: burning Council ships, shattered defense stations, the debris fields where Council fleets used to be. "This is what happens when you mistake patience for weakness, when you mistake diplomacy for fear, when you force peaceful people to become warriors." The images changed. Human colonies thriving, children playing, families together, life continuing as it always had. "We didn't want this war. We begged you to see us as equals, as partners. You chose to see us as subjects. Now you see us as we truly are, not subjects, not children. Warriors who fight smarter, faster, and harder than you ever imagined." Nuss' expression hardened. "The Council's invasion failed, but we are not stopping at our borders. Every military installation that threatened human space will be destroyed. Every weapon pointed at our homes will be eliminated. We will not allow you to threaten us again." She leaned forward, speaking directly to the camera. "This is not conquest. This is a lesson. Learn it well. Don't make this mistake again." The transmission ended. Across the galaxy, the reaction was immediate and panicked. The collective, humanity's original antagonist, called an emergency session. Their leader, a massive creature with too many limbs, addressed their council. "The humans have defeated the Galactic Council's fleet. The Council, the organization that has kept peace for 10,000 years, the humans shattered it in 3 weeks." "What do we do?" someone asked. "We sue for peace, immediately, before they turn their attention to us." Within hours, they sent a formal apology and a request for separate peace negotiations. They abandoned their council allies without hesitation. Survival mattered more than loyalty. Other species began to question their involvement. Why were they fighting humanity? What had humans actually done to them? The more they thought about it, the less sense it made. The council had told them humanity was dangerous, but the council had also said humanity was weak. Both couldn't be true. High Chancellor Aura sat in the emergency council session and watched the coalition fall apart. Species that had been allies for centuries now turned on each other, blaming everyone else for the disaster. "We need to negotiate," one member said. "Negotiate," Aura snapped, "with humans after we demanded their surrender." "We demanded their surrender when we thought we could enforce it," another member said quietly. "We were wrong. The question now is whether we want to keep fighting a war we're losing." The economic reports made everything worse. Human trade had accounted for 30% of galactic commerce. Food shipments, medical supplies, technical expertise, manufacturing. Humans did jobs that other species wouldn't or couldn't do, and now it was all gone. Colonies that depended on human food imports were facing starvation. Medical facilities that relied on human doctors were overwhelmed. Trade routes that used human pilots sat empty. The galaxy was discovering that humans had been the glue holding their economy together. "They weren't just workers," an economic advisor explained to Aura. "They were the connectors. They dealt with everyone, every species, every culture. They bridged gaps we didn't even know existed." "And now they're gone," Aura said bitterly. "Now they're taking revenge," the advisor corrected. Admiral Wu's fleet struck Council military bases with surgical precision. They didn't attack civilians, didn't bomb cities, didn't target non-military infrastructure, but every weapons platform, every shipyard, every military installation that could threaten human space was destroyed. "Target the orbital defense station above Council Prime," Wu ordered. "Admiral," his executive officer said carefully, "that's the Council's capital world. If we attack there, then they'll understand we can strike anywhere," Wu finished. "We're not targeting the planet, just the military assets in orbit." The human fleet emerged from Quantum Jump directly above the Council. Billions of aliens looked up and saw human warships in their sky. Ships that shouldn't have been able to penetrate their defenses. Ships that sat there, weapons locked on military targets, demonstrating how completely humanity could have destroyed them. But the weapons didn't fire, not yet. Instead, Wu broadcast a message directly to the planet below. "We could end this now. Your defenses are broken. Your fleets are scattered. Your allies are abandoning you. We could reduce your military to ashes, and there's nothing you could do to stop us." He paused, letting that sink into every being watching. "But we won't, because unlike you, we don't believe in conquest. We don't believe in forcing others to submit. We believe in showing you the reality of your situation and letting you make the choice." The human fleet hung there, waiting. The Council capital world held its breath. "You have 24 hours to respond," Wu said. "Send negotiators, real negotiators who understand what equality means, or continue fighting and learn what total war truly means." The transmission ended. The human fleet remained in orbit, a constant reminder of how completely the situation had reversed. Colonel Dongmin Yang's ground forces had secured every human colony. Council troops that had been stranded during the retreat were given a choice: surrender and be returned home safely, or keep fighting and die on foreign soil. Most surrendered. The ones who fought discovered that humans were even more dangerous on the ground than in space. Every building was a potential ambush. Every street corner held hidden weapons. Every shadow could hide a soldier with technology the Council had never seen. The few Council forces who kept fighting didn't last long. Lieutenant Boras' fighter squadrons patrolled human space like hawks, hunting for any remaining Council ships. They found a few, small groups, damaged vessels trying to limp home, scouts trying to gather intelligence. Bora gave each the same offer: leave now, don't come back, tell your leaders what you saw here. Most left. The ones who tried to fight learned why human pilots were the most feared in the galaxy. The 24 hours passed. The Council sent their response: not defiance, not threats, a simple message requesting negotiations. This time the word "please" appeared in the transmission. President Nu received the message and allowed herself a small smile. Not a happy smile, a tired one, the smile of someone who had done something necessary but unpleasant. Prepare a negotiating team, she told one. But this time we're not going to their station. They come to us. They sit in our chairs, they breathe our air, and they accept terms that respect our sovereignty. What if they refuse? One asked. Nu looked at the tactical displays showing human fleets positioned throughout what used to be Council-controlled space. They won't refuse. They can't afford to. Their coalition is broken. Their economy is collapsing. Their military is shattered. They have nothing left to negotiate with except their pride, and pride doesn't win wars. She turned to the window, looking out at Earth below. We tried to be their partners. They forced us to be their teachers. Now they're going to learn what partnership with humanity really means. The lesson was clear. You could have humanity as friends or as enemies, but you could never have humanity as slaves. The galaxy was finally beginning to understand. 3 months after the war began, the Council delegation arrived at Earth. They came in a simple transport, not the massive diplomatic cruiser they had used before. Everything about their arrival spoke of humility that hadn't existed before. Ambassador Wan Li met them at the docking port. The same aliens who had looked down at her 3 months ago now avoided her eyes. High Chancellor Aura walked forward slowly, without the arrogant stride one remembered. Ambassador Li, Aura said quietly, thank you for seeing us. Thank you, one noted. That's different from last time. Aura's alien features couldn't show embarrassment, but the posture did. Last time we were fools. We believed our own superiority. We forgot that wisdom comes from listening, not from age. Captain Min Park escorted them to the negotiation chamber. It was a simple room, nothing like the Grand Council Hall where humanity had been judged. Simple chairs, a plain table, windows showing Earth below. This is where we negotiate, Min said, as equals, not with you looking down from thrones. The Council delegates sat. For a long moment nobody spoke. Then Aura broke the silence. We were wrong about everything. We underestimated your military capability. We misunderstood your culture. We insulted your dignity. And we paid a terrible price for our arrogance. President Nasong entered the room. The Council delegates started to stand, a show of respect. She waved them back to their seats. Let's be clear about the situation, Na said, sitting across from them. Your fleets are scattered. Your economy is in chaos. 17 species have left your coalition. The collective has signed a separate peace with us. You have no leverage, no bargaining position, nothing to negotiate with except our willingness to show mercy. We understand, Aura said. Do you? Na asked. Do you really? Because 3 months ago you sat in your chamber and offered us a choice between slavery and destruction. Now you're the ones without choices. How does that feel?" Aura was quiet. Then slowly the Chancellor spoke. "It feels like justice, and it feels like a lesson we needed to learn." Nus studied the alien for a long moment. "Tell me what you learned." "That power without wisdom is worthless," Aura said. "That age doesn't grant understanding. That technology alone doesn't win wars. That forcing others to submit creates enemies, not peace." The Chancellor paused. "That humanity is not what we thought, not primitive, not simple, not controllable." "What are we then?" Min asked. "Different," Aura replied. "You think in ways we don't. You adapt faster than we can predict. You value freedom over safety. You'll sacrifice everything rather than live under someone else's rule." The Chancellor looked directly at Na. "You're dangerous, but not because you're aggressive. You're dangerous because you're unpredictable, because you don't follow the patterns we understand." One placed a data pad on the table. "These are our terms. Read them carefully." The council delegates studied the document. Their expressions changed as they read. "This treaty," one delegate began, "it doesn't demand reparations." "No," Nuck confirmed. "It doesn't require us to surrender territory." "No." "It doesn't force us to disarm." "No," Nuh leaned forward. "Did you expect us to do to you what you tried to do to us?" "Honestly," Aura said, "yes, that's what we would have done." "We're not you," Nuh said simply. "We don't want your colonies. We don't want to control your military. We don't want to rule over you. We never wanted any of that." "Then what do you want?" Aura asked, confused. "Recognition," one said. "Respect. To be treated as equals in the galactic community. To have our sovereignty acknowledged. To trade freely, travel freely, and live freely without someone looking over our shoulder deciding what we're allowed to do." Min pointed to specific sections of the treaty. "We want the military restrictions removed, all of them. What we build, how many ships we have, what weapons we develop, that's our decision, not yours. We want reparations for the colonies damaged during your invasion attempt," one continued. "Not punishment, just compensation for actual damages. We've calculated it fairly." "We want a mutual defense pact," Nuh added. "One where we defend each other as partners, where the Council asks for our help instead of demanding our obedience." Aura looked up from the document. "This treaty makes us partners." "Yes," Nuh confirmed. "Why, after what we did, why offer partnership?" Nuh stood and walked to the window. Below, Earth turned slowly in the darkness. "Because partnership is what we wanted from the beginning. You forced us to fight. You forced us to show our teeth, but that's not who we want to be. We want to build, not destroy. We want to explore, not conquer. We want friends, not subjects." She turned back to the council delegates. "You can have humanity as an ally, a real ally, one that stands with you in difficult times. Or you can have humanity as an isolated power that trusts no one and prepares for war with everyone. Which galaxy do you want to live in?" Admiral Wu joined them via hologram. "The treaty also requires cultural exchange programs. We want council species to actually know us, not assumptions, not stereotypes, real understanding." Young Ho appeared beside the Admiral's hologram. He was a civilian representing the colony interests. "We want your people to visit our worlds. We want our people to visit yours. We want students exchanging, scientists collaborating, artists sharing their work. We want connection." "You're asking us to become friends," a council delegate said slowly, "after we tried to enslave you." "We're giving you the chance to become what you should have been from the start," Young Ho replied. "Partners who respect each other, equals who help each other, friends who trust each other." Colonel Dongmin Yang entered the chamber, still in combat uniform. The council delegates tensed. They recognized him from the battle reports, the human who had trapped and destroyed their ground forces. "Easy," Dongmin said with a slight smile. "I'm not here to fight, I'm here to offer something." "What?" Aura asked carefully. "Training, joint military exercises. We'll teach you the tactics that defeated you. We'll show you how to think like we think, fight like we fight. Not to make you more like us. To help you understand how different species approach warfare differently." "You would share your military secrets?" a delegate asked in disbelief. "They're not secrets anymore," Dongmin replied. "You've seen them, you've experienced them. Now we can help you understand them. And maybe you can teach us things too. Your shield technology is impressive, even if our quantum disruptors beat it. Your fleet coordination is remarkable, even if our unpredictability counters it." Dr. Sunmi appeared on another hologram. "We're also proposing joint research programs. Your technology, our innovation. Imagine what we could build together instead of against each other." "Quantum drives that are twice as efficient," Sunmi continued. "Medical technology that combines your biological knowledge with our adaptability research. Defense systems that protect everyone, not just one species." Lieutenant Boras' face appeared on a screen. "We're proposing pilot exchange programs. Council pilots train with human pilots, learn from each other, maybe even serve together on joint patrol vessels." The council delegates looked at each other, clearly overwhelmed. This wasn't what they expected. They came prepared to accept harsh terms, to lose territory, to pay crushing reparations. Instead, they were being offered partnership. "This is too generous," Aura said finally. "We attacked you. We tried to enslave you. We lost. You have every right to punish us." Nusat backed down. "Punishment doesn't build a better future. It just creates resentment and the seeds of the next war. We could crush you. We've proven that. But then what? We'd have a galaxy full of species that fear us and hate us. That's not the galaxy we want to live in." "You want us as friends," Aura said slowly, understanding dawning. "Real friends, not forced allies, not conquered subjects. Friends who chose partnership." "Yes," Nuss said simply. "Is that so strange?" "For the Council, yes." Aura looked down at the treaty again. "We've conquered 17 species in our history, brought them into the Council by force or threat. We told ourselves we were civilizing them, bringing order, protecting the galaxy." "You were building an empire," Min said bluntly. "Yes," Aura agreed. "We were, and we called it peace, but it wasn't peace, it was control. Humanity showed us the difference." The Chancellor stood, and this time nutted too. They faced each other across the table. "We accept your terms," Aura said formally. "All of them, and we offer something in return." "What's that?" Nuh asked. "A public apology. To humanity and to every species watching. An admission that we were wrong. That we treated a sovereign people as children to be controlled. That we nearly destroyed what could have been the most valuable partnership in galactic history." Aura paused, then continued. "And a promise. The Galactic Council will be reformed, not as a ruling body that controls younger species, as a true council where all members have equal voice, where decisions are made together, not imposed from above." "That's a big change," one noted. "It's an overdue change," Aura replied. "Humanity forced us to see what we'd become. You could have destroyed us for it. Instead, you're offering us a chance to become something better." The treaty was signed that day. Not in a grand ceremony, but in that simple room with Earth turning slowly below. 3 days later, Aura made the public address. Every species in the galaxy watched as the High Chancellor stood before the cameras and spoke words that would change everything. "The Galactic Council made a terrible mistake. We threatened humanity with destruction if they didn't surrender their sovereignty. We were arrogant. We were wrong. And humanity taught us a lesson we will never forget." Images played behind Aura, not propaganda, real footage from the war, Council ships burning. Human fighters dancing through impossible maneuvers, the truth unfiltered. "We thought power meant we were right. We thought our age gave us wisdom. We thought forcing others to submit was the same as keeping peace. Humanity showed us the difference, not through words, through action. Aura's voice grew stronger. Today, the Council signs a new treaty with humanity, one that recognizes them as equals, as partners, as friends, and we extend an invitation to every species in the galaxy. Join us in building a true galactic community, not an empire, a community where everyone has a voice, where sovereignty is respected, where peace comes from partnership, not from force. The broadcast ended. Across the galaxy, reactions varied. Some species celebrated, others worried about the new balance of power, but everyone understood the galaxy had changed. One and Min stood together in an observation deck, watching Council ships depart from Earth orbit. "Think it'll last?" Min asked. "The peace," one considered. "Maybe, maybe not, but at least now it's built on respect instead of fear." "We could have destroyed them," Min said quietly. "We could have," one agreed. "But then we would have become what they thought we were, aggressive, dangerous, conquerors. Instead, we showed them who we really are," one smiled. "People who fight like hell when threatened, but who'd rather build bridges than burn them." Admiral Wu appeared behind them. "The last Council military vessel just left our space. It's over." "No," Na said, joining them. "It's not over, it's beginning. A real partnership, a real chance at peace." She looked at her team. "We wanted to be their partners. They forced us to be their teachers. Now maybe we can finally be both." Young Ho's voice came over the comm. "First cultural exchange group is ready. 20 human students heading to Council universities. 20 Council students coming here." "Good," Na said. "Let the next generation build something better than war." The galaxy moved forward, not perfect, not without problems, but different, changed by a species that refused to kneel, that fought smarter instead of harder, that offered partnership even to those who had tried to enslave them. Humanity had shown the galaxy its capacity for war. Now it would show them its capacity for peace. And maybe, just maybe, the lesson would stick. The message echoed through the stars. "We wanted to be your partners. You forced us to be your teachers. Now let's be friends." The galaxy was finally ready to listen.